Ladies and gentlemen, disciples, and just friends all around the world, you are now tuned in to the Fight Temple. We need no other introduction than he's Chow Boy. I'm Rob Zoatman. We're the mixed martial monks. Let's get it on. What are the questions today, Chow Boy? What's plaguing us?
So in the last episode, we talk about Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje, which is the last minute matchup of UFC 249, and also we talk about it's not quite a good matchup from some perspective. We're not judging this fight because this fight gonna happen, and we respect what UFC or whatever UFC's decision is. And we're in this episode we want to talk about from as a Rob as a fighter, as a coach, and his perspective, and also from me as the like manager, commentator, or promoter perspective. So we're talking about good matchups and also bad matchups. So why? So Rob, you can start.
Well, good matchups and bad matchups. Obviously, I'd say number one thing to consider is experience. Yeah. So experience meaning if one guy has 10 fights and another guy has two, that's not a good matchup. If one guy has a kickboxing world title and the other guy, and they both have two MMA matches, but one guy has a kickboxing world title and the other guy has high school judo or whatever, that's not a good matchup. There's a lot of things that play into it: athleticism and coaches and whatever, nutrition, how well they've trained, but experience is the big factor. No matter how good you are, when you walk out, whatever your breath is, whatever your cardio is, it's cut in half. So you got to be able to manage your emotions, and those are big things that come with experience. That's
Right,
number one.
right. So I think I really agree with what Rob just said from your how to say your experience level. And I recorded another video about the Highlander record, which is Coach Andrew Tennyson from Jackson Wink. He mentioned because the movie Highlander, you chop off someone's head. That guy's record actually you absorb that guy's record. So
Yeah.
that would be your Highlander record. That's what the matchmakers will make a decision on the technical wise who to put together. But the thing is, there's a good matchmakers, there are bad matchmakers. I mean, there are good matchmakers, sometimes does bad matchmaking. So
Well, just
for
because the match doesn't play out the way we think it doesn't mean it was a
right,
bad match. So there's that difference as well. Like, yeah, we could say, okay, I think this is a good match for me, and you go out and you get clipped. It doesn't mean that you were overmatched.
right,
It just means that that's the way that match went.
right. We say we can see a fight, we can see a matchup from the Highlander record perspective, and also we can from the technical perspective, if there's any
Right.
chemistry between two styles, and then the third one will be from a story perspective. Like what's the story can build, right? Oh,
You
you're his student, but your coach has fought before. So
right.
this fight is gonna be right. It's to test what your levels are of the younger generations. That's what how to say. We all like to watch the samurai or wuxia those and also Hong Kong movies, right? We talk about the heritage, right? The bloodline of each martial art.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, because we spend so much time in China, we've seen it all of the bad matchups. Of course, there are a lot of bad matchups still going on all around the world, and people just want to make a freak show out of their event. So, but the thing is, you can make a freak show for entertainment, but don't make a freak show uh, in order to how to say to end up someone get really injured or someone got like the audience got lied to. So what do you think on
Mm.
that?
Yeah, like we had mentioned before a little bit about some matches that were in where the pamphlet or the official program that the audience was given stated unreal records for a lot of the fighters. I'm like, they didn't have this many fights in all their combat history. like across all disciplines. You haven't had that many jujitsu matches, taekwondo matches, sanda matches, boxing matches. Like people with record of like 100 and 5 losses. 100 wins. I'm like, how come he's not a household name internationally? Because it's bullshit. It's
Right.
simple. It's that people are raised on superhero legends. So you hear about legends of this guy, has 400 matches, never lost. Let's be honest, those aren't 400 matches. If you count every role that I ever had in the gym, then my record is huge. But you know what I mean? Like it's not the same thing. Like we're raised on fairy tales, and sometimes the promoter tries to capture the audience like that, and I think that's misrepresenting the entire situation. Um, I also think that the promoters, uh, the big thing for me, aside from experience, is how the promoter treats the fighter. Um, if a fighter feels that he's not being respected, he loses interest quite often in even fighting for you, because the better a fight I put on, and the more motivated I am, and the better I feel and everything, you know, I'm helping you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
uh, and likewise, a promoter can alter the outcome real easy. All you got to do is kind of just fuck with the guy a little. Mess with one of the combatants. You want the guy to lose, you mess with him a bit. Oh, he's looking confident. He's looking in great shape. Mess with him a bit. Mistime some things. Give him some extra crap to do.
Yeah.
Tell him to be here. Tell him to be downstairs at 4 o'clock for something, and then
That
make
could
him
be
wait
really
around till
shady.
5.
Yeah.
No, but they do it all the time. They do it all the time. So part of it, yeah, it's excusable. It's human. But you want to know the difference that I've noticed between doing stuff with the UFC, doing stuff with one, and doing stuff with other promotions, various promotions around China and the Philippines and stuff. And that's that the ones who are the most successful, the biggest fights, and like the best performances. And my best performances were always when I was respected and appreciated, and when everything was well organized and well greased, and I felt like the people were somewhat understanding of what I was going through,
Right.
like dropping 10 kilos, stuff like that, right? So, and the people were not wasting your time. They gave you lots of, and also where it is, like, is the hotel a good hotel? Do they have a bath to sweat in, to lose the weight? Can you
Right.
run a hot bath? To have a decent sauna, or is it that you have to travel and go find your own sauna and put on plastic bags and run up and down the hot desert roads? Like, eh, this has all happened,
And also,
and
how far is the weigh-in place from your hotel?
oh, you see,
What's the
we
oh yeah, what's the buffets like? Sorry, sir, we don't have dinner here. We only have breakfast and lunch.
oh we've literally heard all of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
Oh, I'm
all
a
these
Muslim.
things.
I'm a Muslim. How come everything got pork inside? I'm a Muslim, but
Yeah, yeah.
how come everything
You,
got pork inside? Why there's no
hey,
there's
get a
no
whole bunch
lamb?
of get a whole bunch of Uyghurs and Dagestanis and Kazakhs and whatever, and bring them to your event. But if you want them to lose, yeah, every meat is going to be pork, or everything's cooked with pork, and then they're going to have trouble re-upping. They're not comfortable. They got to go out of their way to get food, and it just gets crazy. So
Yeah, there's one
um,
event.
I'm really
There's one event I went to. It's really funny. It's a really funny story. Well, I'm pretty well. That event was in Hunan province, so they make awesome spicy stir fry pork. Right, we all love that. But
really
our Muslim brothers, they don't. They can't do that. Right, so they'll be like getting all the greens, all the veggies. Oh damn! I can't really like eat a proper meal. Right, for like 4 days, and after that. And after that, well, after all the like events, after the same night, we're gonna have an after party, right? We everybody gonna go and go to like this dining hall, and we all have like have a giant meal and also get some drinks too. And I'm so the dishes you can say, oh, pork and pork, right? So and then I could tell how frustrated, right, our Muslim brothers are, and finally they're serving dessert. That's great, right? We're serving
Yeah.
dessert. We finally will get something like a solid to eat, right? Some like we get some sugar in our system, and then the dessert is really nice with how to say it's really nice made, but they still cannot eat it because the because those sweet buns, the shape is the pork, the shape is the pig. So they're like
Oh,
little pig heads, but it's definitely
that's,
it's safe for Muslims on the ingredient side. But the thing is the shape. I
yeah,
know in China, look at me like right here, we got all the like symbols to mean
right.
good luck, and but the thing is, we say you serve your
Yeah,
pig, to have to make you
for
to eat more, right? We say the fatter face, not fatter, the round face means like how to say wealthy face and healthy face. But
sure.
that was a funny story, but it's still like really very frustrating for those guys.
Yeah, diet. This is the other thing. Is like you're saying, what they've got prepared for you, and also what's nearby. This is the other thing. Like you're there for more than a couple days. Sometimes the promotion only provides you like the dinner before and after or something, but you're there for 3 days. So the first 2 days you have to provide your own stuff. Or others, like when I was in the Philippines, I had to find everything myself. You know what I mean? Like eh, that means that you're now getting basically what amounts to like the healthiest fast food you can find.
Right.
Um, you're going to the fruit market and trying to get your own fruits. You got to go buy yourself a small knife to cut this. It's just a lot of little things to think about, a lot of walking, a lot of figuring out. And so, like, in the end, when you don't get the fight that you want, after you do all these things, changes to the schedule, changes to the fight order during as
Right.
the fights have already started, just there's a lot of times it just plays with your mind as a fighter. You're preoccupied. So yeah, it's what other things? How last minute a fight is has a huge impact on most fighters.
Right.
If you call somebody up and you tell them you got a week, that's short notice. You got 12 days, 14 days. That's short notice. Like I don't think that the majority of people understand. Like okay, you're training anyway. You're already in shape. Yeah, you're already in shape, but you're not prepped for that guy. And at this level, a misstep costs you years of climbing back up because you only fight every couple months. So you've got years to get that prestige back. Before people associate your name with winning.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there will be another topic actually. Me and Rob will talk about because I was actually making notes, taking notes for what we want to talk about. Um, and also the safety in MMA, right? Why an MMA fighter only fight a few times a year, and how they compare to other sports. So that will be safe to other another topic, maybe for our next
Yeah,
video. So I, I was just thinking. So this model, each video of one topic, we can actually post one video on like we can publish a video a day if we could do this model. That would be amazing. So stay tuned, guys. And Fight Temple, we will at least have 5 videos each week, and because we want to cover some news, right? Because in the previous two
absolutely.
episodes, it was just opening. We're learning too because we're not professional. We're not professional podcasters. We're learning too because of the special time in the world. So about like bad matchups, and also there's some bad managers in China, the region too, right? They say they will take the fighters a big cut from their income, and also they will tell the fighters the actual number much lower. Like if a fighter making 10,000, they will, oh, I will take you 30%, and this fight actually you're making 5,000, right? Stuff like that,
Yeah.
and which is
I've had a lot of people complaining about these things to me, and I didn't have a manager. So this is part of the worst part of my career was that I didn't have a manager because I don't have the drawing power that a Chinese name would have. Foreigners don't have Chinese managers. And this is something that irritated me because I really wanted one. I wanted a manager. I wanted somebody to set stuff up for me. I was like, I speak the language. I've been here a long time. My face is recognized. They know me, but I don't have anybody that's going to manage me because they only back the locals, right? So the other thing is that if you had a foreign manager, there were only a couple of them, people that would manage foreigners, and they were other foreigners that were basically taking advantage of new foreigners. So somebody would just arrive in China and they would come to fight, and then they would set them up with a bunch of tier 3 cities, and they might win one or two, and then they get fed to like some well-known guy who beats them up and then sends them home. And the amount of money they were getting paid for this was much less than what was being given to the guy.
yeah,
This is a big issue.
yeah, that's why I mean, in any developing regions like China, I mean, MMA developing regions, the fans need to be educated, right? The stories need to be rich, right? And then on
Yeah,
top of that rich story, and then we talk about technical stuff. But right now we're far from it. It's not like basketball. Basketball, like you see kids in China, man, they're talking about like you see that game that day. They start talking about that, right? And soccer. Oh man, don't put that guy. Don't put that guy in the how to say as a guard.
yeah,
He's terrible.
yeah,
He's more like good to be how to say the in the front line stuff like that. So
yeah.
in soccer, in basketball, like kids in China already talk about the stuff, and also
But they
the
also that's just the technique side and the strategy side. I'm saying that they actually just know more about the players, so they know more about NBA players' personal lives or local soccer players' personal lives. There's a whole industry around this kind of thing that there just isn't, as far as I know,
yeah, I mean
around
like
fighters.
yeah, I mean like talk about technical stuff. I mean in China is a perfect place
Mm,
to promote any sports because we buy the stories, right? We buy the characters, and we
yep.
we buy technical stuff. Come on, ping pong is our national sport. What is so special about ping pong?
Yeah.
Okay, nobody says, "Oh, this ping pong player is so badass. Let's have a badass belt." But they like ping pong just for the
Hey,
freaking
hey,
technical and also
everybody out there, I didn't say it.
what's that?
I didn't say I didn't say it. You said it. All right. I've never really understood badminton, ping pong,
I
how that
have
could
I
draw a
have a
stadium full of
goldfish memory. My memory only lasts 5 seconds, so that's fine. So I'm not saying,
a stadium full of people.
huh?
How how does the sport like ping pong or like badminton draw a stadium full of people to watch it?
Right. Right, stadium full of people because everybody feels there's attachment to them, right? And also, it's easier to
Yeah.
play. And you can say like a 5-year-old, as tall as they can reach the ping pong table, they can play, right? The old people they
Right.
can play. They can play fast pace or slow pace. And
Right.
well, actually, it's very and also for sport, it's not just like talk about the technical is one thing. Another thing is how do you make friends through your sport? How do you be more socialized, right? And that would be another topic of MMA as like overall the ultimate sport need to be more bring people together. But now it's not like people afraid of it. And it's like, well, we can save that to another topic. So that would be two things. One, the sport people can participate, and also the sport people actually look up to, because like extreme sports, right? People cannot do, but people like to see. Like what Bruce Lee says, that's the expression of your feeling, right? If you like doing like the skydiving, all the stuff, because people we cannot do, but in our dreams, we already done it, right? But
Yeah.
we want to have that spiritual and also emotional experience. So for good matchup and bad matchup, let's talk about the good matchup. My favorite matchup. There are a few, okay, because I've made some cards before, and Setsuma's fight in Art of War 4. That was my one of my favorites matchup. Setsuma is our Japanese friend. Back then, he was jiu-jitsu. I think it's a purple belt, and but very very high
Blue, I
level
think.
MMA
I
purple
think it's
belt.
blue,
And then
but he was good. Really
yeah, and
good.
then we got him face this guy Lu Xuebing is the karate guy. He's a Sanda karate guy from Wulin Feng. That fight was really entertaining because back then in China, that was man, that was 14 years ago. Like their fight, there's some bad blood going on. Like because back then, how in China we judge a athlete, we will judge. Oh, are you from like a professional or in system team, right? We judge a athlete by that way. They say, wow, you put those two, they're not like from the professional team. Is this fight gonna be any good? But I say, don't worry about it. It's like it's all about the chemistry, right? But put the two guys
Style.
together, and that was good. That was fire. That's my fought twice.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, fought twice. He had to beat him twice. The guy tapped the first time, got up, and the ref he let him up. Satsuma was celebrating, and then the referee was like, "Okay, box," and Satsuma looked at him, and the other guy's like, "Yeah, cool. I'll take another crack at it." That was weird, really, really weird. But again, this is the beginning of MMA in China. It was hard to get people that understood the sport well enough, even the refs.
Well, back then the ref actually was calling it right in the first time. I don't think it's the ref was trying, right? The ref was trying. The ref from Sandai, they're trying to understand the rules, and also
Yeah,
Andy,
yeah.
which is the CEO of Art of War, he was like, oh, that's a good submission, and then I don't know, Rob, if you remember who made that chaos for the second fight. It was the re announcer. The re
Oh,
announcer
I,
goes,
I didn't, I didn't hear that part.
yeah. The re announcer. I mean, we don't need to judge the re announcer, but it's 14 years ago. The re announcer
Yeah,
goes, I think it was a re-announcer, but please tell me wrong. But please tell me wrong. If it's not, I apologize. But I'm sure I experienced something at least once or twice. That was the re-announcer was Al Haidin's fight. I'm sorry, that's not that time. But Setsuma's time, I don't know. I forgot if the re-announcer involved. But Al Haidin's fight, the re-announcer said something. You guys want to see this? The audience is like, yeah, of course, we're gonna see this again. So, but anyway, yeah, I apologize on that, and we're not going to cut this out because I admit my mistakes, so it's all right. So
yeah,
for
no
our
worries.
next episode, and also my favorite matchup was Wu Haotian against Wang Guan. Wu Haotian, which is
That's a good match.
the
That
teammate.
was a good match.
Yeah, the teammate Wu Haotian is the teammate of the UFC champion Zhang Weili, and also was Wu Haotian brought Zhang Weili to MMA in the beginning. So much respect
Yeah,
to Wu Haotian, and also he's from Chinese Straijiao. So and Wang Guan back
he's
then
good.
he's from
He's
the
one of the OGs. Yeah, he's good.
yeah one of the OGs, and also he's still signed with UFC, but he's busy running his own gym. And but he fought in the UFC and fought once and uh, fought the Bruce Leroy. Uh, he fought once and won. So yeah, that fight was 15 years ago, 14 years ago. That was two styles. The top level of Sanda versus a traditional Mongolian Chinese 摔跤, like like steel chin, hardcore Wu Hao Tian.
Yeah,
So yeah, that fight was a
true.
draw, and
Steel chin and heavy hands.
yeah, that fight was a draw, but that was a back and forth. That fight could be, if China has a Hall of Fame of MMA fights, that fight could be in that. So that's two fights I want to mention. And we're not talking about any fights in the Legend Fighting Championships I helped to put together. But again, I wasn't the matchmaker, matchmaker. So there was Mike Hatzkamp was the CEO of Legend back then, and he did a great job on matchmaking for Legend.
Yeah, that was a good promotion. A lot of guys went from Legend to one into UFC, and then they had good careers that blossomed out of going to Legend. So um, for the time that it was around, it was worthwhile.
Yes. All right, guys. And I think this, yeah, we try to keep each episode about 20 something minutes, and then it will be easier for you guys to watch. And we can try. We can try. I will change a shirt. I can put on some other shirts in other episodes so it'll look better. So you guys don't get confused. Am I going to watch this again? But anyways, for stay tuned for the next episodes.